Hey, good morning. It is time for coffee talk. It is Sunday morning. In the tank world, I've got my coffee with the fruity cup today. Dark roast. Really nice this morning. Nice spring day down here in Florida, and we're going to talk about several things. We'll do the standard specials and missions. We'll go through that. We're going to talk more hard sell. We got more of that shenanigans going on from Wargaming. And we'll talk a little bit about that and perhaps a bit about what that might mean for the game. And on the third section, we will talk about 1.0, which is coming out in, let's see, 2 or 3 days, which is going to be a big deal. But some interesting things about that in regards to maps, some of the bugs that they're listing out there, and the fact that this doesn't really seem like a patch that's ready to go. So we will see, but let's talk about that a bit. We'll get started. All right, we're going to jump right into the missions here. A couple things going on. Remember, folks, this is an event, not a mission. The countdown to 1.0 is still rolling. You can see that I've got 8 of these tokens, the Ricochet, 3 of the Shell, and 3 of the Fire token. Some of them complete. You can see that the 3 and 2 days to go and 1 day to go are not live yet. A little bit odd on this because 3 days to go, I'm assuming, is today in 11 minutes. Yes, so I'll get the 3 days to go today, which will make the 19th 2 days to go and the 20th 1 day to go. So it looks like the 21st is what they're going to drop 1.0 on. T57 on track is going. Enough on tracks. You've heard me babble about those over and over. Tank Mastery, once again, there's a couple of those. I actually got one of these for the T10. I'll drop a couple of those games on the channel in the near future. There'll be some of the last pre-1.0 games that I feature. And down here, there is a Luck of the Irish, which is a St. Paddy's Day themed mission. And you can get some of those Irish shamrocks, which I'm sure everybody has a bunch of. Remember, you can sell those now. They're worth, I believe, 10,000. Actually, I don't know if the shamrock can be sold, but take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it is one of the ones that can be sold. And that is it for the events. Not much going on. Just this one's been pretty good. And you see, if you get to 5, 5, and 5 on these tokens, you're going to end up with a bunch, 15 from each country for their food. And that's actually a pretty good deal if you've gone through all those things. All right, let's see what they have on sale. I just wanted to point this out here, and it's really old news for most of you, but I haven't paid attention too closely to which premium tanks are actually available in the tech tree. And some of the newer ones that I don't actually have are available down here. I just kind of noticed this, but the M449 is available on the tech tree now. Probably has been for a while, but you don't shoot the messenger, man. But for those of you who don't pay attention, or maybe the collectors that have a lot of tanks, that one's available for gold. The AC, I think that's been there for a while. The other ones I'm looking for are up here with the Germans, the Mutts. So good deal there. And then if you come over here to the Americans, you've got the 46 KR, which are all pretty good tanks, premiums. The Scorpion's available and has been for a long time. It's not really a great tank. Don't really recommend it. You can see that there's a sale on as well for, I believe, tier 7 and below because of St. Paddy's Day. We'll get to that in just a minute. But you see that little percentage in the bottom right, that means that thing's on sale. Waiting for things to go on sale that are available for gold is a great way to save gold. So watch for those sales in the store, and then you can grab the KR for even less gold or the M449 for even less gold. I just wanted to point that out in case you guys missed it like I did. All right, for the specials, you can see St. Paddy's Day thing is going on, which is a nice little deal right before 1.0 drops. As a side note, if you were updating your game to 1.0, a huge graphics update, wouldn't you take that opportunity to make a really big celebration on the last weekend? Like a throwback celebration of some kind? I don't know, bring out some throwback tanks, highlight all the way you've come graphic-wise. I know there's been some of that stuff, but wouldn't you make like an organized kind of PR marketing thing for that? Wouldn't that be a no-brainer? I mean, I get it, St. Patrick's Day, but your 1.0 release kind of overtakes that. Maybe do the St. Patrick's Day and the celebration. I don't know. Just throwing ideas out there, Wargaming. I'm not really sure what you're doing sometimes. All right, Patrick's Day sale. We have the 50% gold discount on camo emblems and inscriptions. This goes to the 21st, which is a little longer than just the weekend. That's a great deal, so jump all over that. I actually grabbed some more, where is it? Garage slots. Anytime garage slots are on sale, I grab a couple because I have a stupid amount of tanks. You can see gold on consumables. 50% gold and credit discount on consumables. Credit discount on, this is a big one, reset crew skills. We all have a handful of crews out there that we goobered up early on, and this is nice when you've got some extra gold laying around to reset some things and get your crew set out the way you want it. I think I said tier 1 to 7 vehicles, but it's 30%, not 50. 30% on tier 4 to 7. Still a good deal, especially if you're grinding the 4 to 7 to grab a couple of those on the way. And then there's the mission that will give you the shamrocks. So that's what we got going on for that. So here we are in the premium shop. The T-34-3 is on sale. We're going to get to that one in just a minute. But the Pilot and the T-92, you've seen me play quite a few T-92 games and replays. I also have a review on it. It's a really fun little scout tank. I don't think it's overpowered like the GF is. I think it's decently well balanced, but it's quite a fun little tank. And the Marbreaker is still available and some various other stuff. The Pilot is a good, solid trainer. It's not great. You're not going to burn up the world with it, but it can be quite fun, and it is very good for training the American medium crews. It's always nice to make extra credits and extra credits and extra experience. I got to stop using X's. It's got a problem today. So let's move on then to this little situation right here. Well, I have noted the hard sell that's going on quite a bit with Wargaming lately, and it really seems like they're doing their best to maximize profits here in NA, which is somewhat silly to say because every company does that, but these guys are going to extra lengths, it appears to me. T-34-3 is in the shop, or was in the shop. I think it's actually over. Yes, it's done on the, oh, that's not true, March 16th to the 20th. So this one's actually still in the shop. And what it says is, when it's released 1.0, the T-34-3 will be retired. Does anyone out there believe it? Raise your hand if you believe this tank will actually be retired and never come back. I will say that it is a pref tank, and they're planning on getting rid of pref tanks. So if they do bring it back, they would have to do a buff on it, and that may be one of the things that slows it down coming back. But my point here is that every time they've said that, that's been untrue. So they have a difficult time saying things like that without people rolling their eyes or going, yeah, sure. But before that happens, however, there's one last chance, guys. It's the last chance, the one last chance you can. So anyway, the T-34-3, guess what? It's only available in a bundle. Come on, man. Really? Which brings us to the Type 62. The Type 62, also on sale. 24 hours only, and it's over. This is me grabbing back on the, or grabbing the press release or the news release that they have on their page right here. This is your chance to pick up the rare Type 62, but act fast. It's only available in the premium shop for 24 hours. All right, so that's true. It's ideal for scouting, low profile and camouflage, blah, blah, blah. The Type 62 is available in 2 bundles. 2 bundles, man. It's available in 2. That's it. They didn't sell it. Just like the 34-3. So that's 2 tanks. One they're removing forever. You better get it now. It's forever gone. The other one is actually a pretty good tank. A nicely rare tank, which means it is desirable because I actually want this tank. It's one of the very few premiums left that I may have spent money on. May have spent money on. But they put it in 2 packages, and I don't want your packages, man. I don't want them. $84. Granted, you get all this extra stuff. And $58. 85 and 58 with more stuff. Wargaming, putting credits in a package makes me want to vomit. It really does. Especially when you package it with a very desirable tank that probably a lot of people would have bought. I cannot fathom, I do not, and never will understand why you ever sell a tank only in packages. That, I have a lot of words for that, and I don't understand it. I understand that perhaps it's because we're trying to make extra money, and it's the hard sell, and it's a rare tank, so maybe we can entice a few people to do it. The problem is you would entice a lot more people to buy it if it didn't have the package, and I almost guarantee you you'd make more money. Now perhaps there's marketing numbers that show that's not true, and if that's true, I would be incredibly surprised. Incredibly surprised. That was disappointing, Wargaming. I would have probably bought that tank. I haven't spent any money on a premium in a long time now. I bought a bunch of boxes at Christmas, so you can probably go, yeah, whatever, Guido, 3 months ago you dropped a bunch of money on boxes. Those were good deals. This is a crap deal. That's why I didn't buy it. And every time this comes out, something like this, I am less and less, I think, are less and less inclined to do it. Now, there are people who would just buy tanks when they come out. You got people who are kind of new to the game, who are loving it, they're collectors, are going to keep on buying. But you've got a population problem in NA, and it is decreasing. And every time you do something like this, the veteran players are less interested. And because you're having trouble bringing in new players, when you lose your proponents of the veteran players, even if they dribble away slowly, and faster now, I think, you have more and more of a problem keeping your game going. And it may be a case of they just feel like, you know what, that's just the way it is, so we'll just slow leak this thing as much as we can. I've noted that multiple times. A lot of people have noted that. It's not like I'm coming up with something new here. But this kind of thing really is a sign of that, and it sort of is a counterflow to this 1.0 where the company is attempting to really update their game and maybe breathe some new life into it. At the same time, you know, you've got that going one way, which could be positive, and you counterflow it with this kind of ridiculous marketing aspect, and you have to wonder who's in charge of this whole thing. Is one hand talking to the other? I don't get it, man. I really don't. Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? To some extent, yes. It's just a sale of a couple of tanks. But it would be only worth noting and passing if it happened and I'd never really seen it before. But it's week after week now, month after month. It's been going on for a long time, and it seems to be accelerating. And it's, I got to tell you, this is Whinge Fest Guido right here, okay? Guido and a Whinge Fest, but it's just, it's ridiculous. It really is. Anyway, let's move on. All right, let's talk about 1.0 is coming out, and I've been trolling the blog, so standard stuff, the Daily Bounce, status report, the Armored Patrol. Shout out to all three of those guys doing good work, guys and gals. As far as just getting news out, I know everyone has different feelings about each one of those blogs, but they're good sources for seeing what's going on, and they do have some insider information a lot of times. So it's nice that you got these conglomerations that we can all, the more casual people, all go to and kind of see what's going on, or at least get an idea of what the future is, even if everything in there isn't necessarily perfectly true. Anywho, there's my plug for those guys. 1.0 is going to have some changes to maps, and it's concerning me already from what I've seen. I have not been on the test server, so I'm only going off some of the words and watching some of the videos, but I'm starting to get a general feel, I think, for what's going on, and it's very concerning to me because 1.0 is going to touch the graphics, right? Clearly, they're going to be great new graphics. Some of the maps are going to change, but I don't think any of the changes have really been looked at hard for gameplay. I'm sure there are some people talking about it, but because it doesn't seem like a priority, I'm a little bit worried about what they're doing. And it's words like this that we're going to talk about that really have me concerned. Because one of the issues with the game are the channelized funnel maps, right? I think everyone can agree with that. It's a difficult conundrum because on the one hand, you want a few channels where heavies and things can kind of get at each other, but you also want it to be overall open so you can flank and get around and do things like that with the lights and the mediums. If you go pure vision game, you can get to where we were 3 or 4 years ago, where very good players with the right scouts and the right mediums and things were absolutely obliterating people before they could even see anything. But a lot of that had to do with the way the TDs were working. So what you have to understand is when you change one thing, it can have secondary and tertiary effects. But when you change multiple things, it's hard to know which one affected the most, right? So while we had open maps, we also had the TD issue and really hard-hitting artillery. So then the maps started getting closed in, but we also had changes to artillery and changes to TDs, and now we're all funnelized. And people say, well, we needed the funnels because we had to stop those other two things. Well, I don't know about that because everything changes kind of at once. I don't know if they ever really learned the right lesson. All right, enough of that crap. Let's just talk about specifically this one map, and it's Kharkov. Here's my concern. So in the verbiage here, and this is actually on three different, the three blogs I talked about, and basically the same words are in each one. So they've broken it into zones, and this is what it looks like. It looks vaguely familiar, Kharkov, but it's not exactly the same. Okay. The central blocks of the city, Zone 1, that's all these blue guys, have now been further simplified to decrease the number of possible flanking routes and make it a bit easier to read and predict the flow of battle. One of the other blogs says to reduce flanking opportunities. I mean, that's the exact opposite. The exact opposite of what is needed on your maps. Kharkov has its problems, but the fact that you can kind of move around that central area if you're smart and paying attention and come around to the side or change the angle of the fight, that's important. That's why the tank, it's a maneuver tank game, right? It's an arcade game, I got it. But there were some opportunities, and depending on where the other tanks went, where the enemy went, you could actually get around them. It was one of the few city maps, it's not necessarily a whole city map, but one of the few city fighting areas where there were ways to create different angles and get around behind each other. And now you're telling me that you need it to be a stronger alley brawl. Come on, are you serious? Very concerned about that. The passages between the central blocks, Zone 2, are now a designated place for defensive play using heavies. Oh, good Lord. All right, here's the defensive play using heavies. They're now the defensive heavy zone. Are you kidding me? You know what that now translates to? What that translates to now are the massive armored TDs sitting in those alleyways and just zapping everything that even attempts to come in there. Or for gold spam into turrets from the heavies. I mean, that's, oh, bloody heck. You've got to be kidding me. All right. The open part of the map, Zone 3, is going to keep most of the changes, but with a more pronounced attack direction for TDs, medium tanks, and light tanks. More pronounced attack direction, which must mean it was too fun. I think that's changed quite a bit compared to what it was. If you look at this, how Kharkov was set. The other thing from this northwest area is it was raised up, so it's not down in a pit anymore, and that's always been problematic in this game. Getting down into pits is a really bad idea in this game in general. So it's a more level fighting area with TD hiding spots back here and back here. Now that it's nice and open, I don't know how much cover is there. It doesn't seem like too much. There are some buildings there. That is just a big arty zone, right? Arty in this particular map is now going to be looking over here more than likely. Because these central courtyards look open, I don't know if that's changed the ability of arty to get into there. As it is right now in Kharkov, arty is almost completely useless shooting into some of these areas. There are a few places they can hit, but not very many. All right, let's move on. Decided not to block the central square, Zone 4, that's down here. The central square that's on the southeast part of the... Okay, it's the central square of the city, I get it, so you're not... Anyway, let's see, keep a few fallen at... Okay, so, and keep a few of the access points. Now this is the piece de resistance. This part takes the cake right here. Please note how some of them, the entranceways, will be one-way zone, meaning that you will be able to enter the square and not leave it. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. I'm assuming that's these red arrows. So, you're kidding me, right? You've created an arena in the southeast, Hey, if anyone's on the super test and has played this, let me know how that's going down there. I have a few ideas about how interested I would be of diving down into a hole or going. I assume that's the only way they can do it. A ramp that's too steep to be able to come back up. I'm not really sure how that's one way, but that seems like the only way to do it, which means it's a big sunken hole of some kind. And then it looks like the green arrows here, you can come in and out these things. So once you go in there, all you can do is fight down these funnels. Really? Maybe it's fantastic gameplay. Please let me know down there. But it concerns me. It definitely concerns me. All right, there's something else that concerns me as well. Let's get to that. Okay, 1.0 is in test, and they are planning on deploying this thing on the 21st. A couple things with that. They have been deploying some small patches or code, not necessarily patches, but parts of the patch. For the last about 3 weeks or so, you might have noticed it if you're using their loading system, the game, whatever it is thing. And the idea there is that they're going to reduce the amount of download that you're going to have on the day, which should hopefully make it faster for you. It should relieve some of the stress on their servers. Everybody tries to download what's going to be a really large patch. I think it was an 8 gig small patch a while ago, or part of the code. My concern is that if you're still testing it and you're still changing a lot of code, trying to get into version control and make sure that everything that touches everything else is good, that concerns me a little bit. Now, I guess if you do it right, it shouldn't be a problem. You can deploy the last bit of the code. You can overwrite any of the code that's already been deployed onto people's machines, and as long as it's all written right, it shouldn't be a problem. But that does complicate things. As long as you're taking care of version control and understand what you're doing, that shouldn't be a problem. But this is wargaming. So that's my first concern. Number two is this thing ready? I mean, I'm looking at the bug list that is on here on the Armored Patrol, and just kind of going through it. Fix a matchmaker bug in team battles. Okay, nothing. Color adjustment dialog overlaying the loading screen. Adjusting the colors on minimal graphic. Fix a bug where the current color theme was disabled when fine-tuning it. Oh, that seems bad. Fix a bug where disabling effects in the menu disabled all the FX on the map. Oh, good lord. Let's just go down here. Fixed game crashing when hovering the cursor over a flag. Okay, the good news is they found all these things, right? And that's what test is for. But we are about 3 days away. This was on the 14th. But as of 10 days before deploying a major patch, there's some big bugs in here. Known issues. Penetration marker is sometimes red. This means they're not fixed, right? Full screen mode isn't saved. Oh, great. Terrain shape disparity between server and client. Oh, wait a minute. What? Terrain shape disparity between server and client. Wow. Tessellation applied to road wheels. All right, that seems like a little thing, but it's graphics. Performance loss when Havoc enabled building are destroyed. Oh, great. Sound is muted in one channel. Adjustments to color adjustment. Adjustments to the color adjustment dialog. All right, that's just text. This was my absolute favorite of all of them. Not fixed crashes or removed crashes. Attempts to remove crashes. All right, folks, that's 10 days ahead, man. And they're still attempting to remove crashes. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they got it nailed. Here's another long list. Client hanging. This is the same one. The marathon flag. Fishing issue where the number of gun marks was not displayed in the garage. Those are all small things, but that's a pretty long list, and a couple of those seem rather major to me. And now we're about 3 days out from this thing happening. Those are my concerns. Overall, I hope it's ready, number one. A little bit worried about this piecemeal deployment thing they're doing. You know, ultimately what they can do is they're just going to send out the whole thing, and it will overwrite what's already there, and maybe that'll reduce what we have to download. I got it. It should work. But this is wargaming we're talking about. And the whole map thing has me concerned because I feel like they're not really paying attention to one of their major problems, which is gameplay and their maps. And they've never really once said that that was any kind of priority with this. The priority is to get out the pretty pictures and the nice graphics. The gameplay and what the other issues that the game have remain untouched. So I think really, what does that mean to Guido? I think really what's going to happen here is that this is going to draw a lot of players back to check it out. And it's going to be a lot of people in the short term. But as soon as they figure out that it's exactly the same problems, they're going to go, noted, got it, thank you, I'm out of here. And if the maps are actually worse as far as funnels go, I think they're going to lose more players. Now, this may be exactly what the RU cluster wants, that they want these funneled maps. I know there's a lot of people with speculation out there. I don't know anything about the RU cluster other than the few things I read. And it's possible that's the gameplay that they like. And you got to go with where your strength is, right? But here on NA, I think people are really getting fed up with the maps and the way they play. And this patch does not seem to be addressing that at all. All right, well, I am down to the last of my coffee, and that is pretty much it at about 6:30 in the a.m. on Sunday. Just got my taxes done. It's tax season here in the U.S. Thank goodness. Finished that yesterday. And headed out, I think, this afternoon out to the bay. So I'm going to go grab a boat, put the fam on it, drive out to the bay, have a good time, do a little bit of spring break. Hope you guys are all doing all right where you are, and we'll all hunker down in a defensive crouch and wait for 1.0. The end times are nigh. So when I do the next coffee talk and 1.0 comes out seamlessly with no issues whatsoever, I will eat the appropriate amount of crow at that point. I'm not predicting a disaster. These are just the standard things I think most people are thinking about when you look at this new deployment for 1.0. So Wargaming, good luck. I hope it works out for you. I hope we get more players back. I hope the gameplay improves. I know the graphics will improve. We'll see about the gameplay. And that is all I got for the coffee talk for today. We will see you later.